Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and in a video I did yesterday, I had someone say, hey Jason, why do we actually need to get more women in the weight room? You're saying we need to get women under a heavy barbell, we need to encourage it, we need to make social changes in order for this to happen, but why? What's the point? So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. We really need to talk about women's health issues, and I think right up front, I'm going to flip in my girlfriend Brittany's before and after. All right, and for those curious, yeah, she's 36 in that after. She's 36 years old. My girlfriend suffers from PCOS. Now, it's always interesting because when some of these topics come up and I bash some of these fat acceptance chicks for promoting obesity, I actually always have their email subscribers come in and say, well, she suffers from PCOS and you don't know anything about dealing with that, so you need to shut up. And it's like, and they're going, I trained my girlfriend who has PCOS. We've been together over 3 years, and I've pretty much been her coach and trainer as far as lifting goes. So it's kind of funny when they say that, like I don't know anything about PCOS. It's like also my mom had it and my sister has it. So yeah, I think I do know a little bit about it. I live with someone and train someone in our home gym 5-6 days a week who happens to have this specific condition. And yeah, that before photo was Brittany several months before we met. She'd already lost about 20-30 pounds on her own, and then that after is taken several years later. That is something like 3.5 years of progress to go from the before to the after. Now keep in mind, this is a woman in her 30s. This is not a girl in her 20s anymore. So what did she do? She lifts with a barbell. She did some other stuff in between, but as of the last year, the only stuff she does is barbell work. And I mean 90% of what she does is a barbell squat, right? That is our bread and butter exercise for her. That's what she does. She doesn't do cardio. She doesn't even follow a particularly special diet. She kind of eats whatever she wants. Literally all I do with her is make sure that she gets some fiber and protein every day. When she's on her way out the door anywhere, I always make sure she eats some yogurt, some chicken, I'll make her peanut butter sandwich or something. If she's like in a hurry on whole wheat bread, just I make sure she gets fiber and protein. That's it. I don't regulate her diet outside of that. She doesn't follow a special diet. So that is not diet. That's not cardio. She's made those changes just by the changes in insulin sensitivity and everything else that have happened in her body as a result of lots and lots of barbell training. That's it. That's it. And it helps regulate some of the symptoms of her PCOS. So let's talk about this. We really need to talk about women's health with this stuff, and as far as free weights go. This is things that we need to talk about. A lot of you guys out there will say this stuff, well, I don't care for this or that or this look, and look, every one of you have mothers, sisters, grandmothers, everything else out there. All you guys who lift, even if you're single and you're out there purely chasing girls, you have no intention of settling down, you're not concerned with having a girl long term who's in shape. That's fine. That's fine. But I promise you there's a woman somewhere in your life that you care about. You have a mother, you have a grandmother, aunt, sisters. You need to think about this stuff, guys, because I know I have my audience is like 98% male according to my demographics data. But you guys need to pay attention to this and understand what we're talking about here. We're talking about health. We're not even talking about cosmetics. We're not talking about appearance. We can, I mean, Brittany made a pretty decent transformation there. But let's talk about health. Cancers, breast cancer, ovarian cancer, all other forms of cancer. All right. Cancer is killing women. Killing women. And they have certain cancer risks that are much, much higher than men. Obviously, certain types that are specific to them. What do we know based on the data as far as cancers go? And controlling cancer, regulating the insulin sensitivity issues that come with hormonal imbalances. Again, women with PCOS and some of these other issues, they tend to get very, very obese because their appetite. It doesn't change calories in, calories out. That's a myth. That's BS. And we've got plenty of data on that. But I don't have room for that in this. But yeah, they're overeating. They're overeating because of insulin sensitivity issues that impacts appetite and blood sugar. It gives them sugar cravings and everything else. Resistance training is probably the single most valuable tool that we have for improving insulin resistance out of all forms of exercise, diet, everything else. Lifting weights will do more for your insulin resistance than running a ketogenic diet and 5 hours of cardio a day. Right? It will do more for you. Getting under a barbell for 20, 30 minutes a day will actually do more than those things will. People do all this stuff talking about, oh, I need to regulate insulin levels in my body. Well, weight training does it more than the other stuff does. More than diet, more than cardio. Most valuable tool that we have for it. This impacts the weight gain associated with some of these hormonal imbalances. It impacts it tremendously. Then we start talking about the cancer end of it, the diabetes end of it. People who regularly resistance train, meaning people who lift weights at least twice a week, develop cancer at 50% of the rate of the general population. All forms of cancer. 50%, you cut your chances in half of getting cancer. All right, there are women that I've known who I've lost to cancer. All right, in fact, I said that a while back and someone said, oh, he's lying, he made that up. I actually had trolls accuse me of making that up, which is BS because it is not made up. It's absolutely true. One of my uncle's wife, right? I was not a blood relative of her, but related to her through marriage. Yeah, she died of brain cancer after they adopted children. And my uncle still to this day is a widower, has never remarried and raised those kids on his own. She died of brain cancer. All right, this is a serious issue. Weight training reduces cancer rates by 50%. Furthermore, people who continue to weight train, who are fighting against cancer, have double the survival rate. So you already cut your chances in half of getting any of these issues. This includes breast cancer, ovarian cancer, cervical cancer, all these things for women. Cut it in half. And if you do get them, you double your chances of surviving on top of it if you do happen to get unlucky. Double your chances of living. Diabetes. People who lift weights regularly develop diabetes at 80% lower rate. You reduce your chances of developing diabetes by 80%. In other words, 4 out of every 5 cases of diabetes would not exist if those people had lifted weights at least once or twice a week. Now, obviously, there's a dose-dependent response. We don't have data on people who really train hard all the time. It's probably a non-existent condition. Type 2 diabetes for people who don't use any drugs that facilitate it, who train 3, 4, 5 days a week, they probably don't develop it. It's probably a statistical anomaly. But we've got data for people who train just once or twice a week with resistance training. It doesn't even have to be that effective. So they're probably not even really training, they're just working out. Right? Cut all those out, they're gone. Osteoporosis, again, women when they reach menopause are more prone to this. So you guys need to be thinking about your mother there. You need to be thinking about your grandma. Think about those hip issues. Having to use a walker, use the canes. That's from osteoporosis. Resistance training, particularly getting under anything that's load-bearing on the body, a squat, a deadlift, an overhead press. Again, these big barbell movements have an enormous impact on staving off osteoporosis and osteoarthritis. All right, this is the stuff that's ravaging women. When women reach menopause, that becomes one of the biggest health problems they face. At least the hip fractures, walking problems, everything else. All these older women you see walking around with the walkers or the cane, that's from osteoporosis and osteoarthritis. Resistance training more or less prevents these things. And in many cases, regular resistance training can completely eliminate these things from even existing. Right? So, I mean, yeah, sure, we can talk about weight loss. We can talk about appearance. We can talk about that all we want. We can say, oh, well, you know, women need better booties. They need better legs. We can get them under a squat bar. We can say all that. Well, what we really need to be looking at is the health benefits on top of it. The other stuff, that the appearance part is of secondary importance. The health benefits. The health benefits, the longevity benefits, staving off these diseases that absolutely ravage and destroy all these women that we care about, right? Staves it off. I mean, I can say that about my own family. I don't have a mother left anymore. I don't have any grandmothers. You know, my mother died of cardiovascular disease, right? Runs in our family. However, her oldest sister is a competitive power lifter and has never had a heart attack. Her older sister, who I got into weight training over a decade ago, back when my mother was still alive, now competes in powerlifting in her 60s and is doing real solid. She deadlifts 275 and squats 240 in comp at age 66. A lot of you guys out there are saying, man, I don't know, you're saying I should be able to reach those numbers in 6 months as a healthy young man. I think that's excessive. When I'm telling guys they should be able to hit those numbers, like, really, my 66-year-old natural aunt does it. 66-year-old woman. If my aunt is squatting and deadlifting more than you, it's time to seriously reassess what you're doing in the gym, bros. But back to the point. My aunt isn't lean. She isn't thin. She still hasn't had heart disease. She hasn't had the medical issues that took my mother away from me. And that's my mother's older sister. So, again, we need to be looking at this. We need to be thinking about this stuff. This is serious stuff. And the weight room, big, heavy barbell exercises, that is your key. That's your key to longevity. That's the key to staving off all of these diseases that kill off the women that we care about. So we have to get rid of this social stigma about women in the weight room. And men, we've got to change our behavior and attitude towards it. If we want to get women in the weight room, we do have to change the way that we behave in the weight room. We do have to change the way that we behave in the fitness community. And it's not just about controlling yourself and behaving like a gentleman better. It's about saving lives. It's about saving lives, guys. Saving lives of the women that you probably care about. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.